What's good, superstars? Back with another VV video. You got Superstar Joe, you got Superstar Rob, and you got Superstar Puddin Cheeks in the building. How's it going, Puddin Cheeks and Rob?
Going good. How are you?
Not too bad. I'm excited to have a community legend in the building down there. Really excited for this one. We have been referring to the Puddin Cheek sheet almost every single video, and we're excited to dive into it and maybe dive into a little bit more about you.
All right. Well, shoot, I'm here for whatever you want to ask.
Perfect.
That I can answer, that I'm allowed to answer.
So, yeah, you'll. I think you'll do great. Don't worry. We got easy questions.
As always, we're gonna start it out by telling you guys, don't forget to become a superstar. Hit the subscribe button down below. Ding that notification bell so you know whenever we post. And it's important because we have great guests on, like Puddin Cheeks down there. And it's just amazing things are happening to superstars. I'm going to get into that really quickly. But specifically today and a couple of days ago, we had something really cool happen to a superstar VIP. So he joined the membership, $2.99 a month. And crazy things happened to him since he joined. We've only had the membership for 3 days. And you're not going to believe this. I'm going to go through it and show you guys. But he has a cool pink badge there. And just great luck and blessings coming his way. Also, that's the Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. If you want to follow us, DM us. And if you need to talk to us or you want us to send a message to Puddin Cheeks for you, we can do that as well. After you watch this, that's the way to do it. And on Veve, you can follow us under Fastos, number 6909 for 9.9 million. We will follow you all back. I go on about once a week and follow everybody back. So you'll have some more friends on the app.
I love for the people who are so superstitious. We got the juju going on right now, the superstar juju going on right now. You got
to see this juju. You got to see this juju. So as I was mentioning, the VIP that I'm talking about is here he is, Jacketa 95. You see he's got the little star badge beside him. This is an example of what we post. We post what we buy, what we sell on the YouTube. You see it says members only. So you're going to get a little sneak peek here, even though this is members only. But he puts down 2 days ago. So we opened the membership 3 days ago. 2 days ago, he gets movements of the day. On my side, I was more lucky on the drop of the day. Spider-Man number 3, common number 204.
I like
so
it.
He's got the fourth one, the fourth mint. Incredible. So that's beautiful. That's already a hit, right? You'd be happy with that for the week, maybe the month. But it doesn't stop there.
Yeah. What happened after that?
Today, Jack95 on Twitter hits us up, says, I got some superstar extra luck. He hit pretty much every variant, including the secret rare in the top right today.
The whole shebang.
The superstar juju is crazy. It's crazy. This guy in 2 days has hit everything.
I love it because I don't really go for the drops anymore. I'll go for, like, let's say the stitch, but I don't really go for the drops anymore. I love it though when someone goes and it's like a scratch ticket. They're just like, let's go, hit, and then you get that secret rare. It's like getting that big, winner, right? So I love it when it happens.
It's like almost when they get it though, it's almost like we get it. I feel it like that. It's funny. This is a funny picture I saw. Mac and NFTs. If you're not following him, he's doing great artwork on the Twitter. We got this big thing we're going to talk about in a little bit. More juju. Chris Renzarella, superstar Chris Renzarella. He got the juju. He's telling everybody. It's just crazy. We got superstar Nesco hitting 4,300 collectibles and comics, 3,000 comics on the app. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. This was a questionable post, but I thought it was hilarious. Toby has more utility than Walt.
I saw that today.
That's funny. And some more juju. Like, look at this. You can't make this up. Another one that got almost every rarity, just missing the ultra rare there, but I'm pretty sure they went to scoop that up. So that is the news. Then we have the Veve news, which we just talked about the drop. I went for 5 on the drop. I hit 3 common and 2 uncommons. I got rid of everything except for 2 commons, which are like 4 digits. Rob didn't go for it. Puddin Cheeks, do you go for drops?
I am out of gems. I have a slight addiction, and every time I get gems, I spend all of them. I see a deal, and then I'm out of gems.
That's the classic. That's the classic V. Especially now, there's a lot of deals going around because of the bear market and what we've been experiencing. Maybe not the last couple of days, but everywhere you look, there was like, I want that, but I want this, but I want this. So you got to decide. You got to make a list or something. We know you're great at making Excel charts. I don't know. Do you have one for what you're looking for in the markets?
I usually just wing it on the Veve side. I've always kind of just followed along with the Omi from the beginning, and being in it early and started picking up the collectible side of it. So I didn't come into Veve as a collector, but in my younger days, I used to be in baseball cards, things like that, back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh wow, really? So you were into trading cards?
Oh yeah.
Did you ever explore Pokemon too after that, or was it mainly sports based?
So I'm at the age group where the Pokemon thing happened when I was more on my way out of high school.
Okay. Okay. So you were a little bit older at that point.
Hopefully he's still there.
Oh.
If not, we'll have to kick him and bring him back in. But in the meantime, I will, Rob, maybe you can take care of that, and I'll go through the rest of the news. We had, as Rob can show you, that the stuffed animal, Lilo and Stitch, dropping today or tomorrow or Sunday, is the 626 series. Stitch, the collectible. If you guys didn't see Rob's stuff, put out a video today explaining why maybe Stitch is one of the more premium collectibles in real world toys. He said everything that he buys that's Stitch, it sells out instantly. So that's crazy to know. I didn't know that about Stitch. So if you guys want, make sure you go check out Rob Stuff's video about Stitch, and he gives an explanation of what he sells on Amazon and eBay and how he can't keep it in stock.
So I gotta ask, Puddin Cheeks, are you going for this drop?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You're definitely going for it. As you could tell, I'm going for it too. I finally have a digital version of this thing. I've been bringing this on screen. I've been sending him after Joe to go after him. When in these battles, I had the monster himself.
I can't hit him back. He's too cute. Rob, so I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got on my end. Why don't you get started with? I know you put together a couple questions for Puddin.
Yeah. So again, we really appreciate you coming on the channel. Thanks for sitting through our daily news. We wanted to give everybody an update, but now we really want to hear from you. You already gave us a little bit of sneak peek of what your history and your past, but like we just want to. This is the first time. I don't know if you've done interviews before. We just want to get inside your head. You've done a lot for the community. You've done a lot for us because we've been able to utilize your spreadsheet and we've been able to follow you on Twitter and see what you're doing. So I guess the first question I have is why do you do it?
Well, I look at it like I was blessed enough to find out about Ecomi and Veve when they first started, because I was a follower of GoChain, and they were the only company that really ever built anything on GoChain. So being able to be in that early, and I got in at the tail end of the closed beta, which when we launched the app, we had about 50 users total.
Wow.
And actually, this is the first interview I've given that like recorded interview to anybody. So a little bit nervous on my end, just because I want to make sure I answer everything that you guys want.
No, don't be nervous.
But I feel blessed. I feel blessed being in that early, and I started tracking the tokens because I actually monitored GoChain for a couple of years back, starting in like 2018. And by being able to do that, I could track the vault transactions and see the users. When we first started the public side of this, you could see every purchase go through the users' wallets. So if you bought gems, it sent Omi through your wallet and then to the vault. So you could actually see the users and how much they were transacting and moving around. The scalability of that kind of fell by the wayside when we went from 1,000 to 10,000 to 40,000 in like a month. It was crazy. And so that was when all of that system kind of it couldn't cut the mustard for the spike and the growth. And they rebuilt the entire backend system of the whole platform in less than 2 months, like from March to the end of April, maybe June of last year. And that's when the market was down, and anybody that was around back then saw that kind of everything was put on pause for a little bit. So that's when they went to this batch processing. Every hour there's a transaction kind of thing. So really all of that kind of jargon to say you monitoring all that, I've just always kind of done it. And then I share that with everybody because in the beginning, I felt like the team would build a dashboard out, and I knew it would take a while for them to get around to doing that because they were covered up with the app just going bananas with users and everything taken off. And it sort of just kind of fell in my lap that I put that out on Telegram. I think I looked about a month ago. I looked, and the first time I posted any kind of burn transactions was early February of last year on Telegram.
Wow.
And so it just sort of built itself out that way. And it's valuable information for everybody that's monitoring the health of the app, what's coming in, what's going out. So now it takes me about 5 minutes every day to update it. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
So now that you mentioned that, we actually just recently did a video, and I don't know if you've seen it or not, but we're kind of the mindset where we believe that the data kind of has to help support us in purchasing or going all in back into the Collectible app. So we definitely use your spreadsheet a lot for that. So we put out a video yesterday talking about why we want to wait for the data to show a positive trend prior to unleashing. Like, we're buying things here and there, but to go back in and say, okay, I'm going to go take a bag out at the bank and put it into the app, we want to make sure that we have that positive trend. And we feel like there will be that time. Like, sure, the market pumped and it happened very quickly. And a lot of the comments that we got yesterday were, if the market were to pump, it will pump too quickly before Puddin Cheeks updates the sheet. Now, is there some way that people can track this on their own, or do you have proprietary information that helps you to do that?
No, everything that I show on that sheet, it is, and I actually put a tweet out maybe in February that kind of outlined, if somebody wanted to go and track it themselves, what wallets they need to go look at on the IMX Immunoscan. Everything that I show on that Omi burn sheet comes out of the Veve Vault wallet that's on layer 2. So the way it works right now is every hour they put tokens in that wallet from the reserve that are representative of 1 hour's worth of gem purchases. And so it's a staggered system. So if there's, let's say, $100,000 worth of gems bought, the next hour, on the hour, they put those $100,000 worth of Omi into the Vault wallet. And that's what represents a gem that's somebody's holding on to. They have it in their Veve app inside of their wallet. Now, when those gems are consumed, you spend it on secondary fees or you spend it on a collectible in the store. That goes into the hourly transaction that goes from the vault to the burn. Mm-hmm. So it's anybody can see it and you can monitor it. And actually, IMX updated it now, where they're actually showing the right value for the Omi token. So you can actually go and look at the Veve burn wallet and you can see it yourself, the transactions going out of that burn wallet or out of the vault wallet to the burn, and it'll have an hourly value. So and that was part of how they can scale this whole platform up to millions of users. So like I was saying before, it was every individual transaction had a represented movement on the blockchain. And once we hit, I think we broke GoChain when we got over 10,000 transactions per second. Like it went bonkers. And it was like, all right, I guess they figured out, hey, we got to do something different. And they've come up with a really good system for scalability for the future.
That's fantastic. So I brought this up. I think this is what you described.
What was that?
I'm sorry. I think there's a little bit of a lag there, but what I brought up on the screen, I think, is what you described, right? The whole idea about the burn going to the reserve wallets is this is pretty much replicating what you described and how you go to IMX and you look up these wallet addresses to figure out what's going on in the background.
So what you have on the screen is the original token model that ended up collapsing when it got to the I guess you could call it D-Day. It was sometime around the Golden Moogly drop. I think that one's, so it goes in the wallet. So it shows right there, it triggers and goes from reserve to the Omi wallet. So this part actually comes out. It no longer goes through the user's Omi wallet anymore, because that was how a lot of Omi got stuck when the transactions failed. So now what happens is when they buy gems, the gems go from the reserve directly to the Omi vault.
Okay,
so it would
skips the middle one.
Top right. Yeah, it skips the going through the user wallet.
Super helpful.
And I think they're actually going to update all this when the next, whenever there's some data coming out about the OUP and stuff like that. I think they're going to update all that.
I think it goes still through the reserve, Rob. I think it goes into the reserve and then into the OMI vault wallet. You just get rid of that user OMI wallet.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. It doesn't travel through the user only wallet.
Yeah.
That's been eliminated here.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll share a link to that tweet where I go through the mechanics of it, and it has the links to the actual wallets where you can watch all this.
That'll be perfect, and we'll retweet that for you.
Hour.
Yeah, we'll retweet that for you. And then anybody who was asking that on yesterday's video, how can you track the data real time to kind of see what's happening? That will really give you a heads up or an advantage over people who strictly stick to Puddin Cheeks' sheet here. And it might actually help you in the marketplace. So that I think will be a really interesting thing to bring to you guys.
To be a little bit more nimble. More nimble.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion so far in the data? You see the data every day and you've tracked it for a long time. Have you found, like, in your opinion, what do you notice? Are you able to provide any analytics and your opinion on compared to the past till now? What are you seeing in the market, the health of the market, and what do you think about the future going forward?
So I've got to see all of the different phases of when we had hardly anybody, and then we had the first big boom in February around the Harley Quinn drop last year. And then that was when the word of mouth kind of went out. People started making YouTube videos. Up till that point, nobody really made many videos about Ecomi or Veve. And then it kind of spread around. We hit 50,000 users, broke the app, and then there was like the big, huge pullback. You know, everybody saw the spike in OMI and then the big, huge pullback, and then they had to redo a whole bunch of stuff, get the app functioning where you could have the marketplace and all that. And then you had the Marvel news, the Spider-Man, you know, that brings in a whole nother wave of people. Then you had the Disney wave, and every wave is bigger than the one before it. And there's always a lull after the big waves where there's a lot of people that are like, even myself in the beginning, I'm like, I would show people my Risso Batman or whatever else. And they're like, it's just a AR thing on the app. I was like, well, look at this. I could show it sitting in your car with you. And all right, well, that's pretty cool, but why would I spend money on it? So you have the waves of investors, and then that seed of doubt, you call it. They're like, is this really going to be something, you know? And then every wave builds up on the last one, and when you realize you're owning a tangible asset that is going to exist forever, as long as you don't lose your access to your account somehow by doing nefarious activities or a lot of other things. At least on this, if you lose a private key, there's not one to lose. So it's really just account access. I think the next one right now, you know, you've got the overall market trends with everything's coming down. It's all going to zero. Everybody's getting liquidated. I sat through every bit of that in 2018. So I've watched all of it before. A lot of vaporware, kind of those people start having trouble validating all of the investments they made, and you'll see it build back up. You'll see people don't stop investing in a bear market; they just invest more wisely. You'll see a handful of projects that really start taking off, and I'm confident Veve and Ecomi are going to be part of that. They're tied to big names like big IP.
So are you in any way associated, since you were in so early, are you any way associated with the team at all? Do they come to you and discuss any of your sheet or any of that, or are you just on the outside looking in here? Or if you're allowed to talk about it.
I've kept a pretty close eye. With beneficial to myself being in so early, I was able to like monitor things, and I could actually see the blockchain transactions if they would get stuck, like a nonce error. Anybody that's familiar with a blockchain actual coding, you could get a nonce error, and what happens is the whole system stops until that's resolved. So if you've got thousands of transactions stacking up on top of each other and one fails, all of them stop. So the app quits, the blockchain quits, all that. So I sort of would talk back and forth with the dev team a little bit on that. Like, hey guys, I think something happened here, and they're always like, well, we've already spotted it, we're on top of it. So I was like an echo more than anything. but it sort of allowed me to like when we did the migration, I was able to ask them directly. It's like, all right, you point me in the right direction where I can find all this new transaction stuff. And they've always been real good to just work with me and answer any questions I had about it. And I think a long time ago they used to share my burn sheet, and still every once in a while they retweet some of my stuff. But I've never done it for any of that. It's just more for the more information we have as a community, the better it is as a whole.
It's just pretty cool that you're in so early. Now, I know you mentioned a bunch of times about how some things get stuck in the blockchain. Is that the reason why the marketplace goes down during the drop, so that these transactions can happen in the back end? Or is it for some other reason that happens? Do you know?
I think ever since they migrated, that's more of like they're putting something new in it, like in the app itself, not so much that the blockchain stops the app from working. As far as what I've seen, a long time ago, when all of it was still tied directly into GoChain, that would shut down the app from the backside. And now I think when they roll out updates, they'll close it for a little while, or if they have to work on something with IMX, they may close the market, because IMX right now, if I sell you a collectible on IMX, that collectible moves wallets. So that's still now, IMX is still new. I mean, it's only been out 6 months. So I'm assuming every once in a while they might get some of those that get delayed, and that might be what brings the market down as well. But it's not the movement of the gems or the tokens kind of thing.
Okay.
And you brought up a good point about IMX. So we've asked this question before. Love to hear your thoughts on it. How do you think it's going to work? Like, some people are saying once you transfer it out of the Veve app, you might not be able to bring it back. If you transfer it out of the app, it won't have the functionality anymore, but maybe you can bring it back. Will it be interactive with other metaverse companies? What's your opinion on that?
Well, just seeing from how the OMI token flow works, I've helped a lot of people on our Discord move their OMI onto layer 2 and then into the wallet. And it's just sitting there now. Until we have utility, you just have OMI sitting in your Veve wallet, and they're just your custodian of it. I think, I mean, I don't know anything about what their plans are for how to make the tokens interoperable or the NFTs. Like, I could see it easily being used in the IMX marketplace, but when you come down from layer 2 to layer 1, it would be in a roll up. You'd have to pay some gas, but I still feel like it'll be just like any other NFT. Once you've got it on layer 1, it's in your wallet. You buy and trade it wherever. The only thing I don't see working well is if the licensors are in a contract with a fee, like they get 6% of every trade. I could see that still working in the IMX marketplace, but I don't know how they would add that to a contract if it comes back down to layer 1. I'm sure they've got some genius that's figured all that out, but it's not me. I just track tokens, and I don't know a whole lot about how actual NFT contracts work yet.
I saw a post. I don't know. I don't remember who it was. They mentioned though that the NFTs on Veve are part of the Unity. Was it you who posted that? Or maybe it was Brock. I can't remember. Somebody posted it, and
it might have been Brock. He's really smart.
They said
he knows a whole lot more about that than I do.
Because it's built on Unity, it has the capabilities of interacting with these other worlds that are building worlds because they use that type of software or integration. So is it possible that they stay on layer 2 when they're being interoperable, or do they have to come down to layer 1 to get moved around? I don't know if I understand it.
I think it would be I think it would be any platform that's built like any metaverse that has access to layer 2 could reference any of that data that's on there. And then you have your gasless fluidity, I would call it, between different systems. And it may someday interact directly with it sitting in your Veve wallet. Who knows?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. I think when people start seeing the true utility of it within a metaverse, and we don't really know exactly how far away we are from that. We know what's coming. Their eyes are going to start winding up. and saying, wow, when people start actually interacting in a digital space and they start seeing these things having more utility right now than just simply taking a photo with it, their eyes are going to start widening and saying, I really actually need this. I want this. Maybe I just want to impress my friends in my house when they walk in. Maybe I want to use it for a game. I mean, really, the possibilities they're endless. So definitely excited to think about that. Joe, do you want to move on to the spreadsheet? Maybe I'll pull it up right now.
Sure.
Okay, let's pull it up. So since we refer to this all the time and we have you here, I have a couple questions specifically about the spreadsheet, but very quickly, like what you have primary, secondary fees, burns, and gem purchases. Like primary, secondary fees, just explain to the viewers what that is, and also let us know if they can ever be split or they have to be combined.
So the primary and secondary fees, and actually to go with the second question there, the reason they have to be combined is in the beginning, I would separate them because all secondary fees were only 2.5%. So I could take what I knew was sold on the primary market that day and subtract it from the total OMI that was burned, and then take the rest of it and apply a 2.5%, just divide by 0.025, and I could get a secondary sales volume, trading volume number. All of those fees are combined in that hourly burn transaction now. If somebody really wanted to, they could take and look at how much every retail drop was that sold out, and you could go on here and subtract that off of that total value, the second column, which would be column D there. If you knew today that a drop sold out and it had X amount of value, you could subtract it from that. The hard part is you don't know if the secondary trading today was 2.5% fees or 8.5% fees, or any mix of the two. So every once in a while, when we have a really big day, I'll take and show what those two numbers are. Like I'll say, well, our trading today was between 1 million USD and 10 million USD. It could be anywhere in between those two numbers, and nobody would really know unless the team puts out in the future an API that somebody could tag that would have those numbers to share with the community.
Interesting. So how about for like a column that we like to track for sure is gems in app. I believe this is an assumption, just a simple subtraction of whatever is left minus the gem purchases and everything else. So explain that column to us. Let us know how accurate you think it is. Is there really 123 million gems on the side? Do you think is there an assumption in there at all? Do you think it's accurate?
It would be the only assumption or the error, and I've told other people the error in that could be up to 5% one way or the other. And that is purely because on my USD value estimates, I have to use a daily average. So on days when OMI moves a large amount, you get a little bit of calculation error in what the daily average is of the OMI token. Unless I went and did it like every single hour and then added them all up individually, and I don't have a good enough computer to run a spreadsheet like that. I've already got 1 million rows in mine, so my computer doesn't like it very much.
No way. That's for sure. And is there any other questions that you've received of people questioning you about this spreadsheet that you can bring to us? Something that, a common question that you get. You said gems and app, you get that question all the time. Is there anything else that you would want to share with us?
So I added the column, that gem growth ratio column. It's just a real simple gauge that looks at the amount of gems that were purchased and the amount of gems that were consumed through primary sales and fees, and it's just a metric. So if that value is 50, that means it was equal. It means you had 200,000 gems in, you had 200,000 gems out. That's a 50. So if it's below 50, that means more gems went out than came in on that day. And then if it's above, it's just a real simple metric to save somebody from trying to look down through the columns and try to figure it up in their head. So on a day where you have like 81, which was on the 17th, you can see there was only 61,000 gems went out, but 260,000 came in. So that was a gain for that day.
Right.
The number could be 99, but it could still only be a handful of gems. Like it doesn't account for, oh,
The
it was
magnitude.
millions of gems came in. It doesn't have any magnitude. It's more of a ratio instead of a magnitude.
Right. Interesting. Okay. So link to that, we also had, I think Joe was mentioning before that he thinks that you responded to one of our superstars that asked if what does this mean? And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm qualified to go through this to explain what it means. So I mentioned to you before that we wanted to bring this up. Can you give us an understanding? You made this post back on June 14th. Can you give us a rundown? There's 3 pages on it. So I'll start with the first one over here. We'll go back to the beginning. And maybe you can give us an idea of what this means.
Okay. So what I did was there's been a few other people that made something similar to this, but the hardest thing with Omi from the very beginning is the tokens are scattered out all over the place. Right now they're on 3 different blockchains, actually 4. You've got them on GoChain, you've got them on ERC20, you've got some on Polygon now with Epico Regal, and you've got them on Layer 2 IMX. So they're scattered all over the place. What I did was I made this as a real quick example to say how the 750 billion tokens are allocated now. We had our very last advisor contract unlock in April. So now we don't have to track any tokens that are locked up in time contracts anymore. What this shows, the first page is the overall 750 billion, and then the other 2 pictures are the individual separated allotments. So you have a non-circulating supply of Omi that will always be non-circulating, which are the ones that function behind the app. You have the reserve, you have the burned, and then you have the vault. And I tried to fix it where it put the vault name on the left, but I couldn't do it. I'm not skilled enough to tell the chart where to put the names.
The vault's down
so
here, right?
If there's any individual, yeah, it's all the way down there, and it put it on the wrong side. I wanted it to go to the left side, and I couldn't make it do it. Lovely Google Sheets.
Yeah.
But all of those tokens combined with what I'm calling the frozen contracts. And for any of your viewers that don't know, there was a little bit of an accident when they wrote all of the time lock contracts at the very beginning for the founders and the advisor team. They added 3 extra zeros onto that contract and put it in as milliseconds, but the blockchain only reads it in epic seconds. So they're locked for thousands of years, those 97 point whatever. And I guess they noticed it about a week after all the contracts were written, because there was one that was supposed to unlock like 3 days after that, and it didn't unlock.
Wow.
And I guess that's how they caught it. And they're like, uh-oh. So really, as a benefit to all the Omi holders, they had to redo all of those 98 billion contracts out of the business dev fund.
Wow.
And make all that. They rewrote all of them, and then now all of those 98 billion that were locked up are what's in what we would call now circulating supply, because they've all unlocked since then.
Right. So you're saying now that all 750 billion, it still balances out, but those ones will be locked for thousands of years. But it's still possible.
Those 98 billion are locked for thousands of years. Yeah. Wow, I don't know how to calculate that myself in
crazy.
epic seconds with 3 extra zeros, but it's an easy mistake to make. Like who would have thought? You write your code and programs in milliseconds, and all of a sudden the blockchain's like, no.
That's funny.
That is, you did it wrong. Yeah.
I love hearing that though. Just a few zeros. What a costly error, right?
Yeah, it's like office space. Oh, it's mundane details. It's always a decimal point somewhere.
Yeah.
It's good to hear though that they didn't take it from the people. They took it from their own kind of business dev accounts, and shows to you what kind of people are running this space and how honest they are, actually, because they had the opportunity to take it out of the circulating supply and put it in their pocket, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, they could have taken it out of the business dev wallets, or actually you can see what's left of them there. That it actually what they did was take it from circulation, but they couldn't take it from holders. Obviously, they took it from their own circulation.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Essentially, what the difference in the end means is our maximum circulating supply of OMI ever is 310 billion. If it wouldn't have been for that mistake, it would have been 98 billion more than that. So all of those 98 billion were tokens that would have been in circulation. And then your business dev wallets now that have about 40 billion in them would have had that 98 billion still in those.
Yeah.
So it would have been company tokens. But yeah, it all kind of works out for the good for the OMI holder on that. But everything that you see that's like a pink or orange is all tokens that will never enter circulating supply under any circumstance.
Interesting.
So what prevents this wall with OMI price getting so low right now? What prevents, like from a noob standpoint, what prevents this wallet circulating supply going to zero? Or like all that stuff going to zero?
So when the first tokenomics were out, we had OMI to gem. So you could take your own OMI that you had and buy gems from Veve. And then when you bought something with those gems, that OMI came out of circulation. When they had to rebuild the whole system because one-to-one transactions wasn't going to work with the amount of users. And OMI to gem, sadly, we lost that in the middle of all that, having to take away the functionality of that. Right now, all of the burns are strictly out of this orange and pink area. So what you'll see is that reserve is depleting, and the vault will fluctuate in between because all of the gems that are in the app are actually represented by OMI in that vault. So as those gems are spent, then they burn the equivalent amount of OMI to reflect that in the daily purchases. The circulating supply for right now, until we get some type of utility with OUP, it'll be. Hold on one second.
Sure, no problem. Take your time.
Pulling up a sheet.
No, it was my daughter. My daughter was coming through the room, and she didn't know if the camera was going to get her or not.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, no worries.
But yeah, so it's kind of like an isolated system at this point. So really, the OMI burn sheet, the value in it right now is just showing us the Veve stuff, the gem purchases and the gem sales, and keeping up with the health of the app that way. The burn for right now is I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but it's more like a figurative thing for what we may see in the OUP in the future. Once we get some utility and we start moving these tokens out of circulation into the app again for OMI to NFT or some of the other things they've talked about, then we're really going to start seeing some positive energy coming back to the OMI token, is my opinion on it.
That's exciting to hear. And we actually have a question with OUP. We'll finish off the last two charts though. Can you comment on this one as well? Is it same kind of idea?
Yeah, so this is just a breakdown of the blue section of that first one. So it shows the circulating supply is all the tokens that are out there that are in somebody's wallet. The two business dev wallets are the tokens, and I think it's somewhere around 41 billion total tokens. Those are the tokens that belong to a Ecomi business dev wallet.
Right.
So they lost their 98 billion that they rewrote the contracts with in the beginning. So the one thing that I've told a lot of people, I monitored GoChain before I monitored Ecomi. One benefit to this company that a lot of people overlook is there are a lot of crypto companies out there, and there's a lot of things that are positive all over the crypto space. This technology is going to be a household thing in the next 5 to 10 years, just as a whole. Most of the companies that are building something did an ICO, they sold their tokens. Well, they have to sell their tokens to pay their payroll. You know, most companies that start up in the crypto space. One thing I've noticed with the business dev wallets, with Ecomi is there are hardly ever any withdrawals. There
Wow.
may be some here or there. I've seen a few that were probably liquidity for exchanges, but I don't see them having to withdraw every week to make payroll because you have Veve as an income stream that they have a real world business right on top of the crypto business that is mutually beneficial. They're still two different companies, but I don't see them just bleeding the business dev wallets dry every week to make payroll. So that's just my take on it, and it's a really positive thing that I think a lot of people don't look at.
Yeah, they're making money through Veve, so they don't have to rely on their token and sell off their token constantly and flood the market with Omi in order to fund their business. They can do it through just the general business of Veve. It's a good point. It's good to understand that as well. How about this one?
Yeah, and this is just a breakdown of the larger area. So you'll see eventually someday down the road, the burn wallet will be the largest wallet in this whole section. But this pie or donut, whichever you want to call it, will eventually absorb tokens out of the circulation. So you're going to see the dark red slice there just keep growing bigger over time, and then the little blue section will start decreasing over time as the OUP rolls out.
But it won't go to zero just because the thoughts are that at that point the token value would be too much that people wouldn't be able to afford a big batch of them to burn it down to zero, right? Is that the synopsis, I guess?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what they have planned for the tokenomics in the future. I know Reese had hinted about there'll be some new tokenomics coming up, and I just wonder if they've got something where they're gonna figure out a way to manage all that with the way the OUP comes in, and who knows what all is going to be in that. So it's they wrote the first V 0.1 last November, and we're still waiting on the next one. So it'd probably be pretty good, I think.
Cool.
So speaking of the OUP, then let's move into that now. We all know that the OUP is going to bring more utility to the OMI token, especially in their most popular app, which is Veve, and we can maybe start using it to do some pretty cool things and really get the burn going, right? So let us know your thoughts on the OUP. Do you think that this is going to be complete game changer for the OMI token? Do you have any price predictions? Let us know what you think.
Well, I always stay away from price predictions because one, I'm a math oriented person, and there's so many variables with anything with OMI. It's like even trying to guess how many burns. It's so dependent on the daily OMI price that it's hard to know long term. Sure, and like a bear market right now where all tokens are down, you could say, yeah, the burns are gonna stay up pretty high. But one thing that I can say, were either of you around back when we had OMI to gyms the first time?
No, we got it in November.
Okay, so I got to experience this firsthand, and it's a psychological war against yourself. because like I was always like, I want to hold my OMI. Nobody's touching my OMI. But then I'm like, I can spend a few OMI and get my RISO or get my whichever. And back then OMI price was so low, it's like I don't want to spend my OMI right now because OMI's low. And so then we had a day where OMI went up in price, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to spend it in the app because my OMI is worth more. I'm going to buy it, and then when OMI comes back down, you start this whole psychological trading game against the collectibles with OMI. And when we get OMI to NFT in the app, you're going to see a lot of people just start playing against the OMI market and the Veve market at the same time. And I think it's going to be pretty wild. And it was a first time experience for me. And I was sad to see it go because of the way all of the back end systems had to be rebuilt. But they're going to bring it back. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's already an addiction for a lot of people. So only imagine what it will be like now when you're gonna be like a stock screener. You're gonna have 17 screens up, one with the OMI price, one with Veve prices. You're gonna be going through what's going through your head. You're gonna explode. You're gonna need to quit your jobs and just like full-time study this. People are gonna do it in courses.
Whoever builds a dashboard that enables all that. Only the clown probably will have something,
Yeah.
and there may be a lot of people that build things. But looking at like real world, like say what's a high tag collectible you're looking at right now, like a Vader or something else. Like what's the value on UR Vader today?
Like 2200.
Yeah, 2200.
All right, so say that's the price of Vader today. Let's say Omi goes up 50% tomorrow, and now all of a sudden your Omi that you have, you're like, oh, that Vader doesn't cost as much Omi, and now maybe it's a spike in Omi. So then you buy that Vader, and then Omi goes down, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can sell this Vader for some Omi. And you start, it's a mind game.
Yeah,
well, this is what a lot of the OGs are talking about. They're talking about how, like, I know there's a lot of new people who came in, don't really quite understand it. That's why we're really happy to have you on today. But people don't understand, like, why are people stacking their bags in Omi when we got cheap collectibles now? But I think that hints at it. If they know about that and they were here during that time, kind of reminds them of how the game was back then. And maybe they know more than the average person watching this that got in like we did in November. So we're learning here. Maybe Omi's a little bit more important than we think. If they do come back with that Omi to gem or whatever, it could be game changing.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of stuff in it, and the only reason I feel like it's taken this long to get any kind of information about the OUP is, you know, they're focusing real hard on the KYC and getting the payout, and that's a big hurdle just to overcome all that. And then I feel like after they get a lot of that stuff going, that's when we're going to see all of the Omi stuff trickling into it and just building a whole ecosystem around it.
So do you think that Veve is waiting for OUP and for all this KYC stuff before they announce a lot of bigger brands, possibly? Like, do you think they would save that for after these things are built, or do you think that doesn't matter to them?
I really don't know. It's looking at it from like a business sense. It wouldn't be great to bring in a massive amount of people before it's ready. Like it's just we all want it. We all want the big names, the P, whatever. And when I got rugged by my phone earlier, I was saying I'll have to rely on everybody in the community to teach me Pokemon because I'm so old. Like that happened when I was on my way out of high school. So that was when my phone lost internet. But yeah, it's we have a great community as a whole, and I see it all the time, moderating in Discord and things like that. I see everybody's questions, and it's going to be. I really feel like they probably have some big names that everybody wants. It's just now's not the time for it. It's not ready.
They mentioned that, right? They mentioned that they're not marketing because they want to get things done, get the app ready, then you go to the masses. Another question for you, since we're talking about the OUP, in preparation for the OUP, users right now can bring their OMI into the Veve app. And like you said, it's just a custodian at this point in time. I have to ask, I know there's a lot of information. I know there's been AMAs on it, but since we have you here, I still get the question all the time, how do you get it to layer 2? Because when we did our OMI, we simply just sent it from our Bitforex account directly to our Veve wallet. It was all layer 1, no problem. What's that intermediate step now? Can you just verbally tell us what you would do to go to layer 2 and then into the app?
So they put out an article that it's almost a novel on how to get to bridge to layer 2 because it's still new, and IMX actually built a bridge just for Ecomi and Veve. It was a little bit different than their normal bridge. You could always do it, but it wasn't very straightforward. So what happens is we don't have the keys to our Veve wallet, so we can't send tokens to it and then roll them up because they're on layer 1, and Ecomi would have to be responsible for rolling those tokens up. So they wrote an article and put it out. I'll post it after we get done with this conversation, and I'll just have it. But it's probably 10 or 12 steps, and you have to use MetaMask and put your layer 1 tokens in MetaMask. Then you have to connect to this bridge site. You have to roll up a little bit of Ethereum in case you ever withdraw. And once you get to the bridge site, you can bridge up to layer 2. Well, now you have your OMI tokens in layer 2 in your MetaMask wallet address. You have to send those to the Veve deposit wallet, but they're on layer 2, so you can do that. It's even different steps coming back down. So it takes gas to come off of layer 2 and to go on to layer 2. But once you're there, there's no gas for transactions between wallets.
Yeah, I think
But
Joe and I
I
need to
will
go through
post
that
a link to that.
and make a video on that.
It's a novel. It's a very thorough novel.
People have been asking us to make that video, and as you can tell just from that explanation, it's not the easiest thing to make a video to explain. We want to make sure we know exactly what we're talking about, so nobody loses any of their coins, and everybody has an easy way to go about it. So we will be doing that. Me and Rob have been thinking about it. We actually haven't purchased any OMI since the transition because of it. So we have our little bag, but we're trying to add to it now, obviously, with the prices that we see. So definitely going to have a video on that in the near future. But of course, we have to definitely check out that article from Reese and the team there.
So
yeah.
So I got another question for you related to the team. If you were able to interview Reese or anyone from the team, he's the OMI guy. If you had to ask them any questions, what are the questions that you have that if you had that chance to ask the team, you would be able to ask them? I don't know. Like I said, maybe you're in conversations with them all the time. Do you have any questions for them that you would love to have answered? What are maybe the 1 or 2 questions that you would ask the team that you would love an answer to right now?
When OUP? It's like I could do the same questions as everybody else. Even as a moderator on Discord, we find out about things at the same time everybody else does. So, yeah. But it's funny when they did their ICO, we literally beat Reese up every day for almost a year because we didn't even know what Veve was. Like we hadn't seen, other than a couple of little David Yu specials that y'all have seen. From 2019, 2020, just little teasers. It was us on Telegram every day. It's like, Reese, we got to know something. Like, you got to tell us about this app. He's like, I can't. And I think they were even keeping him in the dark. So I've always been pleasantly surprised once things do come out that they keep kind of close to the chest. So it's just like, I'm ready to have OMI function in the app. I'm ready to find out Veveverse. It doesn't get talked about much now.
Yeah, Alex definitely has Sorry, Alex definitely has a tough job with all these questions. I mean, being the marketing guy, I don't think people really appreciate how much he has to stave off people and watch what he says because everybody, like you just mentioned the early days when there was like under 1,000 people. Now he's got 40,000 or whatever there is active people.
Oh yeah.
Coming at him. So it's definitely a difficult job, but they've done a good job keeping things close to the chest for sure, especially even from their own Discord moderators.
Yeah. We find out about it. The articles come out. We may get like a 10-minute preview of that, and then all that rolls out. But it's amazing to see what it's grown into, just from a handful of people to now. It's a massive community.
Yeah. So another big topic in the news with Veve right now is the MTL. How do you think MTL is going to change the OMI or the tokenomics around it? What's your opinion on MTL and how it's going to change that structure right now that we have? Are we going to see different things once MTL comes with the OMI token? Is it going to change maybe how the burn rates, or what's your opinion on that?
So I feel like there's not been a confirmation of this yet, but I feel like what they'll do is if somebody has gems, it has OMI behind it in the vault. Right now, if they consume those gems and purchases, the OMI gets burned. I feel like what they'll do with payout is they'll consume the gems, but they won't burn the OMI because the gems weren't spent on like for something for a collectible or a fee for a licensor or Veve. So I feel like they'll either just leave the OMI in the vault or they'll send the OMI back to the reserve. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't see them burning the OMI because somebody, I mean, it really doesn't matter as much now. But in the beginning, when we had the Omi to gyms and things like that, if somebody wanted to buy a bunch of gems with cash and then cash them out to Omi, you could actually send Omi from the reserve into circulation back then. And so by putting that disconnect in there, that's no longer a possibility. So I think they'll just leave the Omi in the vault more than likely on a payout MTL situation.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, when we talk about questions for Reese, maybe that's when you got to sneak in early, right, to see how that whole thing's gonna go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no worries. We can still see you. So we asked you a lot of Omi questions. We're getting close to an hour now, but we have a few more, mostly related towards you. I've always wondered. Okay, you really threw me off when you said, "Is it a pie or a donut?" The pie graph. It's a pie to me, but it doesn't surprise me that the guy that puts Homer Simpson on his page thinks it's a donut. Why? Why Homer Simpson? Why? Are you a Simpsons fan? What's going on with that?
See, yeah, I've been a Simpsons fan forever, but I especially like the makeup gun image of Homer Simpson. And I took his makeup gun and I actually photoshopped it and made it red and green instead of like yellow and red or something like that. So those are my candlestick painters is what that is. So for green candles, red candles.
That's amazing. There you go.
I didn't know that.
I never noticed that. That's amazing. And why the name Puddin Cheeks? Where did that come from?
So when my son was a baby, he was about 2 months old. I called him Puddin Cheeks. And I was like, around the time I was like, that's a pretty funny name. I'm going to keep it. And that was 19 years ago.
Wow. I didn't expect that. I love that.
I like hearing these stories behind the man.
Yeah. I told him about it the other day and he's like, you called me Puddin Cheeks.
I'm gonna start. Joe's daughter has some pretty Puddin Cheeks, right? So
yeah, I gotta start squishing her cheeks, call her Puddin Cheeks.
But I was a senior in college, and I was needing a name. I forget what video game I was playing back then, but I was needing a name, and I was like, I'd been calling him Puddin Cheeks for a month or two, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep that, and so that's been my online name for that long.
I love it.
It's very well recognized for sure among the community. Everybody knows who you are, and everybody references all the other creators. We have groups with the creators, and always talking about your burn sheet and how you're a legend. So definitely, it's fun, and I'm sure they're gonna all enjoy watching this and learning that too.
So
yeah, and I enjoy doing my part. We have a really good community.
For sure. And this is another random question. You posted this back on June 6th. I'm just curious. One that caught my eye was wrecked when you sell for 10% of what you paid. Is there any definitions here that you think need to be revised? Or are you good with them the way that they are?
So I was having fun there for a couple of days, making puzzles and all kinds of stuff, just giving people something to do. And you guys came in clutch and won the award on one of them. So
that was fun. We had the whole community. That was
the hardest one too.
Yeah, we had to use three superstars on the Twitter DMs, and we were going through it together. It was fun. You actually made us all work together, so it was actually really, really good.
Superstar Laura, Superstar Sarah, shout out to them because with them we were able to figure it out. We didn't do it alone.
And then we gave them 2/3, and then the remaining third we actually used as a bounty. One half of that was a bounty to get Reese to follow us on Twitter, and the other half we paid for. One of our subscribers went to the Decon kickoff, and he made a shirt with Superstar Money logo, and we paid for his shirt with the other half. So that's where all of the Omi that you sent us went.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll probably do some more of those here in the future.
Those are fun, guys. You got to make sure you guys are following Puddin Cheeks on Twitter. Honestly, it's a great follow, and he does all these fun things as well. And it's just been great getting to know you as well.
Yeah. It's been great talking with you guys.
Yep. And I got one last question for you. What's your favorite collectible?
So my favorite collectible, I never really had a favorite. So I did have one favorite, and it was my Risso. I had to sell my Risso to fund my Veve addiction. and I miss him dearly. He was number 48.
What?
Number 48. Yeah.
Number 4? Are you kidding me?
My God.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
number 48 Rizzo.
He was in that
Holy.
early.
Yeah.
He was in top 50 people on this app, man.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. Because
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
you got it in order last time. At the beginning, it was in order of when you bought it, right? The numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got in at the end of the closed beta, so it was I could have bought as many of them as I wanted, and I couldn't afford them back then. It's like the Todd was $100, the Risso was like 70, something like that.
So did you stack on anything?
But yeah,
in the-
it got no. I missed the ship on that so bad because I wasn't a collector, and so I was just more of like I want to get one of everything to complete some sets. But it got to the point where there's so much in the app. So I think it was around July when Marvel and Spider-Man we got all that news. I was like, man, I'm just gonna have to sell my Risso if I'm gonna keep playing this game. So I had to sell him, and that funded my next level of things. But my favorite probably is my Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I just like
Oh,
him.
yeah.
He's universal.
Yeah, I don't blame you. He's sick. Okay, so before we close out, we're out of questions here, but I want to open the floor to you. Is there anything you want to get off your chest that you want to say to the community? Anything you want to tell us? Just want to open the floor to you. Whatever you want.
Open the floor to me. Put me on the spot.
You said you weren't going to do that.
It's been great. It's been great. Everything seeing this grow from a small project that hardly anybody knew about, then a project that a couple thousand people knew about and everybody else dismissed it, and they're just like, oh, it's not, it's licensed stuff, but yeah, you can't have your collectibles. And there's still the people that a custodial account and putting them in your own wallet is a huge debate. But there's a lot of people, regular users, that like the fact that they don't have to keep up with private keys. They don't have to fight that battle. So at some point, if a hybrid model of the two comes together and the users that want to take their collectibles off can do that and go do their thing with it, and then all the people that like the comfort of Veve handling all of their stuff kind of like a bank does, sort of pseudo.
Yeah.
I think once all these hurdles, we get the payout, we get the KYC, we get all this stuff, and we get some OMI utility. I just feel like the next wave of growth, all of everybody that, like you guys said, you got in November, you're not late. You're still so far ahead of the next wave of people coming in, and it started with 50 to 100 of us. Well, we had to tell all the first wave of people how all of it worked. So as we grow, guys like your channel and everybody else, like we're teaching the next wave of people. So the more we know as a whole unit, the more efficient we are of welcoming new faces in, and not just, oh well, I was here before you or anything like that. It's like we're all on the same train together. The cars might have come in a different order, but we're all here and we're along for the ride.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned all that, and even when you talked about your favorite collectible and how you had the early Rizzo, it's a lot of people say if I was in at the beginning, I would have stacked up on this, I would have stacked up on that. It's not easy to say that because the project isn't what it is today. Back then, it's a little bit more speculative. Like you said, you weren't a collector, you didn't know what this was all about at that time. It's easy to say that. Like in 5 years from now, people might say, like, why didn't I stack up on Batgirls? Like, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So
100%. People weren't buying Todds because they were $100 and we only had 1,000 users. Yeah. It's like, it was like, well, there's 6,000 Todds. That's just throwing money away. That's literally conversations we used to have.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. So, like, I have to say, this was amazing hearing from you. And I think, Joe, it's time to give Superstar Puddin Cheeks a standing O.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So we thank you so much for coming on the channel. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And this is my first official public YouTube. So other than my little side project with my two goofy videos I made, but this is
guys,
my first.
Check them out on Twitter. check him out on Twitter. Check him out on YouTube.
Follow
he has
him.
a couple of videos up. Give him that motivation to start posting more, because I think we all learned a lot from you today. And everybody, leave in the comments what you thought about the interview today, about having Puddin Cheeks on the channel. I'm sure that he'll go through the comments as well and answer any questions if you have them, or on Twitter. He's very active over there, obviously. Rob, you got anything else?
Yeah, no, like we really appreciate you coming on the channel. Like you said, you haven't done this before, but we appreciate you coming on. We wanted to talk to you. You answered all of our questions, I think, better than I even expected. I got to actually go do some homework now on some of these things. So we couldn't thank you enough for coming on the channel. We appreciate you doing everything you do for the community as well. I think I speak on behalf of everybody, the time that you've committed to the project, putting out your spreadsheet, activity on Twitter, answering questions, Discord, all that stuff. We appreciate you and your time. So this is the official, as at least I think I could say it on behalf of the superstars. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm pretty sure everyone's in agreement. We are so happy that we have you in the community, and we thank you.
Yeah, and I think hopefully we get you back on at some point in the future, because like you said, this is a team effort, and hopefully we can grow it together and spread information as to our user base and amongst the new people that come in. That's what this is all about, right?
Oh yeah, we're just getting ready for the next phase.
Yeah, I agree totally. It'll be the next wave of people. So everyone watching, please comment below. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed today. I mean, we talked about a lot. We talked a lot about the tokenomics. We talked about OMI. We talked about the spreadsheet. We talked about everything in terms of even the future potential of Veve. So let us know your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, smash the subscribe button. Become a superstar. We want to hear from you. Join the Superstar fam. Whether you agree with us or not, we love to respond to every single comment, and we can't wait. And also, we got the eye on right now, right? You can become a VIP if you want. Join the VIP. We let you know our buys and sells. Let you know, of course, maybe some of that. If you're superstitious, that superstar juju. We're all about data, but sometimes there's things we can't explain. So it happens, right? So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you, legend, superstar, Puddin Cheeks. Bye bye.
Love you. Bye.